This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Well, let's get back to it.
He thinks he looks good in a bathing suit. He doesn't.
Spain is being hammered by severe flooding, and meteorologists warning that the worst is yet to come. The country has been given yellow and orange warnings for severe weather over the coming days.
Warning, warning.
Yellow and orange warnings. In Castile. On Spain's mainland, as much as 254 litres of rain fell on every square metre of some towns since Monday. In Valencia, some areas received as much as 200 litres per square metre. That's absolutely massive. The intense rain, which I think you'll find is a fact. The intense rain has resulted in severe flooding, with entire roads being turned into rivers and flash floods engulfing entire towns. Meanwhile, the Canary Islands were deluged over recent days, which seems unfair to Spain, really. I mean, it's not like they're near each other. Deluged over recent days, with streets turned into rivers by a weather phenomenon known as a high-altitude isolated depression. Would you like to know what a high-altitude isolated depression is?
No.
It is when cold air blows over warm Mediterranean waters and causes hotter air to rise quickly to form towering, dense, water-laden clouds that can remain over the same area for many hours, raising their destructive potential. Interesting, no?
No.
Last year, flash floods in Valencia and other parts of Spain killed more than 200 people, destroyed thousands of homes and triggered mass protests against regional authorities. Meanwhile, after Spain was told that the worst is yet to come, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese warned that the worst is yet to come as ex-cyclone Alfred's fierce winds and heavy flooding strike Australia's east coast. The tropical cyclone was expected to become the first cyclone across the Australian coast near Queensland since 1974. Whenever that was. Thousands of residents have been ordered to evacuate or stay indoors as the storm lashes the region with torrential rain, fierce winds, towering waves, causing widespread power outages, beach erosion and airport closures. Fresh evacuation orders were issued in certain parts of New South Wales late on Saturday, with authorities warning that it may become too dangerous to rescue people if they do not evacuate immediately. But do not be alarmed. This is not the result of climate change, because no less an expert than Richard Tice, one of the MPs from the Reform Party who hasn't been arrested, assures us that there is no such thing as climate change, so we are safe. We appreciate you looking out for us, Richard Tice. You are a patriot who thinks solely of your constituents.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, in this country, sun worshippers are likely to find themselves basking in the hottest temperatures of the year so far, with summer-like daytime highs of 20 degrees centigrade possible in England tomorrow. We'll take that. And there was a memo out, and it was more important than a memo. It was in fact a memorandum.
Correct.
Which sort of pulled the cover off something that we have been fascinated by. And I think we might be getting it all wrong. So I'll come to that in a minute. First, some messages from last night. Vince in Maidenhead says, Nick, I was watching the SpaceX launch yesterday, and on the chart that plots the expected route, Gulf of Mexico had been changed to Gulf of America. One of the presenters also called it the Gulf of America. Is it me, or has the world gone mad? Says Vince in Maidenhead. I do believe it could be a little bit of both. The world has, in fact, gone mad, and it could be you too. The Gulf of America. Yeah, the whole country's on fire, but at least you can patriotically say the Gulf of America. Of course, I know that this is the wrong tune, but it fair stirs the soul, don't it?
No.
It's actually the Gulf of hot gobbets of SpaceX raining all over it. That's what it's the Gulf of. He wants to go to Mars? Yeah, okay. You first, Elon. Board the next rocket, I double dare you. Matt in High Wycombe says it was reported on LBC this week about 2 Ukrainian surgeons who were being filmed operating on a soldier, and they were knuckle deep in gore. Oh, God. Way too much information, Matt. Knuckle deep in gore And after the operation had finished, one of them turned to the camera and said, "Sorry, we should be wearing suits." Whether that was a joke or not, it really resonated with me. Powerful stuff, says Matt. Yeah, you could have spared us about the gore part. I mean, that could have just been read. I could have understood that was the case, them being, operating and all. Don't have to spell it out for us, Matt. We don't need pictures, mental or otherwise. Evan in West Wales says, if things are this bad in the United States of insanity only 2 months in, 2 years down the line, I think the Amber Rambler will have gone full paranoid Roman emperor, and most of those around him, including Vance and Musk, will be fired or put in jail. I fear none of this ends well. Yeah, I would expect that Donald Trump will get away with anything that he has done or is about to do, but for the rest of us, it's going to end really badly. Like Spain has been warned, and on Australia too, the worst is yet to come. But there's this very, very interesting memorandum which just came out. It's a document. Am I piquing your interest? Little bit. I'll get to that in a minute. Messages from last night. Pete in Finland says, "Hi Nick, I recommend this new British show called 1,000 Blows, starring the very talented Stephen Graham." Well, I'm unfamiliar with either the 1,000 Blows or Stephen Graham. Who's Stephen Graham? Oh, by the way, I was going on and on and on and on and on.
Boring.
Last night about a programme that I saw on Channel 4 when Channel 4 first came on the air called Road Trip or Road Dreams, something like that. Somebody sent me the link to it. I just watched the first couple of seconds and I was transported right back there. And I put it up on Blue Sky. I haven't got X on my phone anymore. I took it off my phone because I will not have that person on my phone. But I do have Blue Sky on my phone because Blue Sky is where the HAPPY people go. Happiness all around. Pictures of, flowers and flora and fauna. All of that stuff. Lovely. If you want to just take a small detour from the misery that is all around, then I recommend a couple of minutes on Blue Wave. Blue Wave. I'm getting a blank. Is it Blue Wave? Or Blue Sky? No, it's Blue Sky. Idiots. Blue Sky thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, if you're interested in it, then it is on YouTube, and I thoroughly recommend it. It's worth many minutes of anybody's time. It's called Road Dreams, and it's on YouTube, and I put the link on my feed on Blue Sky, and when I get home and fire up the PC, then I might stick it up X, formerly known as Twitter, if it is in fact still in business. It having lost about 80% of its value since you-know-who took it over. Space Karen. Alexandra says, "Dear Nick, Trump can't even get his basic mathematics right. The Trump Tower in New York City is 202 metres tall, therefore dwarfed by the still-standing Empire State Building, also in New York City, which ascends to 443 metres into the air and is a hell of a lot better looking." Well, the latter is completely correct in every respect.
Affirmative.
It is absolutely better looking. I mean, the Chrysler Building is better looking than the Empire State Building, but the Empire State Building is certainly better looking than the Trump Tower. And here's that story I was mentioning yesterday. I mean, it's still incredible that this actually happened. Here's a measure of the man. Here's a measure of the man who has become the world's most powerful person. If that is not evidence that the human race has gone awry, I don't know what is. I think we'd better think of that again. 21 years after 9/11, we can still hear Donald Trump's reaction to the terrorist attacks, and it was a strange one, reports The Independent. That is because on the 11th of September 2001, the future US president called into the TV station WWOR to talk about the day's tragic events. And then he turned his attention to the height of one of his properties, which he falsely claimed was now the tallest building in Lower Manhattan. Well, it was an amazing phone call, Mr. Trump told WWOR. I mean, 40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest. That's what he said on the phone to a TV station that he had called into to discuss the attack that had just happened on 9/11. The Independent says, as multiple fact checks later pointed out, this was not true. God, Donald Trump lied? I can't believe it. The Wall Street building had not been the tallest building in Lower Manhattan in the 1970s when the Twin Towers were constructed, nor was it the tallest in the area after 2001. By the time of Trump's interview, both buildings of the World Trade Center had collapsed after the planes hijacked by al-Qaeda terrorists had smashed into them. 2 other planes had also crashed into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. and into a field near Shanksville in Pennsylvania, killing everybody on board. In total, nearly 3,000 people died in the attacks. And all Donald Trump could talk about was who has the tallest building in New York now, that those buildings have been destroyed. And the American people thought, yep, that's the guy for us. I mean, come on. If he is not the world's worst person that is currently alive, then I am open to suggestions. But he is the person that Americans thought, not once, but twice, would be the person to lead them. How's that working out for you so far?
Oh, fabulous.
Is it everything you dreamed it would be? This text says Trump's speechwriters took leaves out of every famous leader's speech and modernized and Americanized the language. Blame the immigrants, make America great. You guessed it right. Hitler, says that message. Yeah, that's what I said yesterday. Pretty much everything that comes out of his mouth, he learned and then from the translation of Hitler's speeches. I mean, you can trace pretty much all of it back. I mean, this for a start.
They're eating the people that live there, and this is what's happening in our country.
Yeah, and it's a total disgrace. They're eating the pets, is what he actually said. I just messed around with it, but they're eating the pets, and that's what Hitler said. They're rat people, that's what Hitler said. They're coming in, there's an invasion, that's what Hitler said. I mean, it works. As long as you have no shame, then it works. And having no shame gives you a great advantage in the game of politics. Huge. Oh, on the subject of the thing I just mentioned, Roger says, evening, Nick, you are referring to Road Dreams. In the mid-1980s, Channel 4 showed a series of films made by Elliot Bairstow, who was in the US for 6 months, but ended up staying something like 15 years. The films are considered a definitive documentary history of life in the US along major interstate routes of the time. It certainly is, and it's a marvellous thing to watch. And the artiste that I was trying to bring to mind yesterday was Leo Kottke, not Ry Cooder. I mean, sort of in the same, I'm going to use the G word now. Oh, no. In the same genre, but not the same person. Leo Kottke, a lot of that music. So maybe that's why it never got replayed again, is because maybe you couldn't get the rights. I don't know. What are you asking me for? Definitely worth watching. Road Dreams. It's on YouTube. And finally, for the moment, and the last message from last night, Martin in Kings Lynn says, here's a prediction for you. I bet that before the end of the 4-year presidential term, and despite his criticism of Zelensky's attire, Trump will appear in public wearing paramilitary uniform. Yes, and I'm going to add that to my list of predictions, which are he will not leave. I should have actually written this down instead of scribbling it on a piece of paper and then losing it. I'm going to forget everything that I predicted now. He will not leave. There's going to be live executions on national television. I've forgotten what the rest are. Oh, well, leave it with me and I'll come. But wearing paramilitary uniform is absolutely on that list. That is definitely what is going to happen. Oh, shooting into crowds. There's going to be crowds of protests. I mean, there are already, but they're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as the consequences of his actions are visited upon the American people, many of whom did not specifically ask for this. They just wanted their eggs to be cheaper. They weren't those people that said, we just want President Trump. You know, they weren't those people. So he's going to be having his people shoot into crowds of protesters. Well, I forget what the rest are. Over to you. Your predictions, please. And I'll lay you a £5 bet.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
I'm not a big fan of his brain.
Thanks a lot, Donny. You're the best. You're the best worst person currently alive. That's a fact. Here is Bridgend. Bo.
Hello, Nick.
Hello, Bo.
Nick, it's not a Monday. Nick.
Bo.
Hello, Nick, can you hear me?
No?
Oh, it's not a mundane Saturday, Nick. This is a monumental day in world politics, my friend.
Is it?
Yes, you listen to this. And it's funny how you think in a man cave on your own with a beer. Today, Donald Trump or the U.S. government have stopped satellite signals to satellite information to the Ukraine. Am I right with that?
Yes, Bo.
Right, Nick. On an earlier show, I'm not sure whose show it was, maybe Ali's show in the day, he said, a Ukrainian military spokesman said, this isn't going to affect our military operations, but what it is going to affect is getting women and children and non-combatants into the air raid shelters.
Right.
So I know you have a lot of American listeners, okay? So today America is complacent in the killing of women and children in Ukraine.
Yes.
It's the only way you can read it.
It's the only way you can read it, Bo.
So surely, God, where are the Democrats? Where are people standing up in our country? I hope your American listeners are listening tonight and thinking, Bo from a man cave in South Wales is right.
Yeah, how have you decorated your man cave there, Bo?
They're pictures of Margaret Thatcher here. I inherited.
What?
I inherited, and you won't get that in many places in Wales. I inherited it from someone else, Nick. But that
doesn't mean to say you've got to keep the same pictures as somebody else. You've got pictures of Margaret Thatcher on the walls of your man cave. You mean you sit in there and you get drunk and you stare at pictures of Margaret Thatcher?
Yeah, but it's on my allotment and it keeps the crows away.
Right.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense.
Nick, this is Trump is hurting women and children in the Ukraine, and somebody's got to take this point seriously.
Yes, well, it won't be me on this show.
I will be so great to women. I cherish women.
He cherishes women, haven't you heard?
We know what he grabs them by, Nick,
yes,
don't we?
Very, very grabby.
And it isn't a comforting hand either.
No, that is right. Yeah, you are completely right about that, Bo.
Take care, my friend.
And
Take
you.
care.
Okay, thanks a lot, mate. There must be room on your wall there for Melania, surely. He hasn't got a picture up of you, Melania.
I don't care.
She's actually not that bothered, Bo. Just doesn't care. Doesn't care about anything right now, as a matter of fact. She's in her anti-Donald kissing hat. You can't get anywhere near her. I don't know whether I was just thinking about it as I was drifting off to sleep or whether I actually had a dream of that moment when Donald Trump tried to, I think it was just after he placed his hand on the Bible, or just over the Bible, didn't actually touch it because otherwise that Bible would have burst into flames. So he hovered his hand just over the Bible, which I think maybe was him doing the crossing his fingers behind his back. I will honestly divest the officers of the United States and blah, 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 and all that stuff. Yeah, he was thinking about golf or the changing room, Miss Teen World, or one of those things. And he tried to kiss Melania, couldn't get anywhere near her. He puckered up and tried to kiss her on the cheek, and she just was motionless. Her hat preventing him from getting anywhere near her. That was hilarious. She may hate him, and with good reason. Martin says, we need an alien invasion for the good of the planet. Can't wait till they meet Trump. Yeah, they welcome him with open arms. There you are. We missed you. This text says, Denby says, Nick, guess the title chosen for the UK's entry for Eurovision 2025. It is What the Hell Just Happened. And I'm not even kidding. Are you allowed to say that? Maybe you're allowed to sing it, but I don't think you're allowed to say it. Can you say H-E-L-L?
No.
No, I don't think you can. I mean, you can say it on TV right now, but then you can say anything you blooming well like on television. I mean, they're swearing on the news these days. Here's the bleeping news. Shut up. Donald Trump said something stupid. And now the weather. Tom in Sevenoaks says, Hi, Nick. I can't believe that Trump actually said Russia hold all the cards. I've heard accusations of Trump being Putin's puppet, but he opened his mouth and removed all doubt. Yeah. And for a man who managed to bankrupt a casino he was running, he should really stop with the gambling analogies. They hold all the cards. They hold all the cards, Donny, because you gave them to them. There's a very, very interesting memorandum that's just come out. And it is a document authored by an anonymous group of whistleblowers. Now, I know that you might think, oh, well, anonymous. But practically everybody who calls into this show is anonymous. And the reason that they are anonymous is because of the very real danger of them being attacked by either Donald Trump personally or, more likely, his minions. God, did you hear what happened to judges in America this week? I only read about that today. Blimey. It is like the country of America has been taken over by the mafia.
Absolutely.
Yeah, some really scary stuff going on over there. But I want to talk about this memorandum. I also want to talk about the continuing decline of the Tesla Corporation. Not that Space Karen cares about that one way or the other, because his money is secure. And there's just plenty else besides. No end of things to talk about. Don't you worry about that. Let's have see if I can squeeze one in before the news. Maidstone. Hello, Tony.
Oh, hello,
Tony.
Oh. There's something wrong with the phones today because I'm with Vodafone, but my phone, sometimes I cut out, and then when I was waiting, I couldn't hear anything for a bit longer. But anyway, I digress. Nick, how are you?
I'm sitting on the edge of my seat in anticipation,
yeah.
Yes.
I want to talk about Trump Donald.
Yes.
I did it the other way round because I don't think he deserves to be called Donald. Your glamorous assistant, he's quite nice. I've spoken to him a few times. He's quite very helpful.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. I believe in customer service, as you know. Anyway, I digress again. Yeah, so I want to talk about Donald Trump. I think he wants war. What's your opinion?
With?
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I know. The thing is, right, the thing is, right, James O'Brien mentioned you in the week.
It's a lie. I was never there.
Where?
There on the stair. Right there. What did he say?
No, the thing is, I'm a serious person. You're going to make me howl.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop. No, this is a serious subject. So let's talk about Trump Donald. Oh, you've just put me off my track now. Yes.
I tell you what, Tony. Tony.
No, please.
I'll put you on hold and you can collect your thought. All right.
Oh, don't. I wanted to talk about that. You're going to what? I'm happy to wait after the break.
You're definitely not coming back after the break.
What time? It's 22:28.
Yeah, you got 1 minute, 20 seconds. Go.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So, you've always been talking about, because James O'Brien mentioned you in the week. He's a fan of you, by the way. So he was saying, I can't remember, you just took me off my track. Yeah, he was saying...
Yes, your performance on this show is my fault, I understand.
No, it's not your fault, of course. You're the best. He's the only person I can't get through to, James O'Brien. But anyway, right. I spoke to Sheila. She likes you as well. Oh, my goodness. Yes.
And sadly, Tony, we're fresh out of time. Isn't that unfortunate? So sad when that happens. Thanks for the call, though, Tony, and filling us in on, whatever it was that you just said. I hope you're writing that stuff down, kids, because some of that was very, very important. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.com. Maybe that's going to make the best of this Monday. Do you think? I mean, the best of is called the Nick Abbot Habit. Comes out on a Monday, and it's a half an hour of concentrated amusement of old shows. At the moment, I'm trawling through 2022, but every now and again I put a bang up to date clip. Do you think that was good enough to get on a best of?
No.
Okay then.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
This is absolute tosh.
How about dinner? 0345 6060 973. This says, "Hi Nick, amidst the gloom I've got some good news." Finally! Last year I messaged you in frustrated commiseration because my new Acer trees like yours were stubbornly refusing to burst forth into vibrant colour. A little bit too many syllables. Way too many syllables. Come on, edit it down. It says, "This was in spite of my efforts to lug those trees around the garden, seeking the dappled light which they apparently craved." Yeah, they're just way too picky, Acers. You put them over here and you put them over there, and it's like, "Oh, I don't like this and I don't like that," and moan.
Stop whining.
They said, "Over winter they died off, declining into grey twigs, and I was resigned to giving them up and composting them. But they're alive. This week in the sunlight and warmth, they've begun to wake up and bud again, and it's made me so happy. How do yours look?" They're alive too. I can't believe it. I was resigned to throwing them away, but I thought, well, I'll just leave them over winter and see what happens. And I'll tell you what happens. They've exploded with leaves. And then will almost certainly wither and die again as the sun gets to them. But for the moment, it looks pretty good. Edinburgh. Hello, David.
Hi, hello, Nick. How are you?
I'm great, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I don't think. I think the Americans, they don't want to go to war anymore. People don't want to. I mean, this coalition right up, and I think Australia wants to go. They're going to it's going to be a world war, and it could end up a nuclear war. It really could. I'm frightened, you know.
You're frightened. I think it'll be okay. I don't think it'll be okay in Edinburgh. Nobody's going to bomb Edinburgh.
Yeah, well, it could bomb Edinburgh. You know, it's a very popular place like London, and I wouldn't like to end up with a war in this country. And it seems to be that nobody wants to talk. And Zelensky, he's a bit of a flyboy as far as I'm concerned.
What does that mean?
To help. That means he wants everybody to go to war and help him. There could have been a deal on the table. And don't forget,
a deal?
You're missing one.
What kind of a deal?
Well, listen to me. You're missing one thing. Putin didn't want to go to war.
Who did?
That's because Putin didn't really want to invade Ukraine. Ukraine wanted to join NATO, and that's what caused it.
Yeah, no, that's not what caused it.
No, but that did cause it.
No, but the thing is, David, it didn't. That's not what happened. And and you're telling me America. You are telling me America doesn't want to go to war. Well, so far, Donald Trump has threatened Panama, Norway, Mexico, Canada. I may be missing a few places, but he seems to have his handful with war at the moment.
Yeah, who does?
The guy who's running America at the moment?
No, I don't think Trump is the bad man you think he is. He just doesn't want to pay the tax.
Misunderstood.
No,
I get it.
See, Nick, I like you, but you're a raving lefty, and you'll never get through to a lefty. You've got a mindset, and that's it. You understand?
As opposed to you mean?
No, opposed to me, well, you know...
You're open-minded. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, well, I guess we could just shout over each other for the next 2.5 hours. Or not. I could wish you all the best and hope you have a happy life. But I think that boat's probably sailed. Thanks a lot, David. There's a guy who hasn't had a conversation with anybody in a good long while. Just staring at a computer screen, getting all of his thoughts made for him by some Russian propaganda website. Mark in Ochinstari texts, flash floods is Glaswegian for puddle. Not raining in Glasgow at the moment, I don't think, nor will it be raining tomorrow. Can you believe that?
No.
Ian in Cardiff says, have you heard that American Congressman Buddy Carter has proposed a bill to rename Greenland to Red, White and Blue Land? Yes, I have. And that is America for you in a nutshell. That is the Republican Party in a nutshell. Yeah, no, they don't want war. Yeah, sure. Oh, that's going to be Donald Trump will actually start a war with somebody in order to give him the excuse that he needs to stop the elections in 4 years' time. I mean, I don't think he will really need an excuse. I think he'll just go ahead and do it. But if he just needs the cover of a little war in order to cancel the elections, then he will go ahead and do that. No problem at all. So far, I've got he won't leave at the end of his term. There will be live executions on American TV nationally. He will order his people to shoot into crowds of protesters, and he will appear in public wearing paramilitary uniform. Any additions to that little list? 0345 6060 973. Lutterworth. Hello, Jason.
Hello, Nick.
Jason. Good, thanks.
Good. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Good man.
Unfortunately, I rang up to play Donald's advocate. Just a point of order on what you said about the tallest building.
Yes.
If he said it was in New York, or if he said it was in Manhattan, then your correspondent who said the Empire State was bigger was right. But if Trump said it was in Lower Manhattan, then he was right, because the Empire State Building's in Midtown. No, he said in downtown Manhattan. Downtown Manhattan. Right. The second tallest building in downtown Manhattan. It was actually, but it doesn't really matter whether it was the tallest or not. That's not the issue. The point of it is that while the dust was still in the air and thousands of people had just died, the most important thing on his mind was who's got the tallest building. I agree with that, but to make up for sticking up for him wrongly, as it turns out, I heard you say, or someone say a couple of weeks ago, call him Mango Mussolini. Yes. I'm disappointed no one's thought of Burrito Mussolini, given his penchant for fast food. I thought that was a bit better, Burrito Mussolini. I guess so, yeah, because it's more like Donito, yeah. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Jason. Liz says, did you see the programme Meet the Rees-Moggs? God, no. Absolutely. Do I want to spend any time at all in that man's company? No. No, I do not. It's like there's a lot of... I think I mentioned this last night, or maybe I was just talking to myself in the car on the way in. There's a lot of programmes at the moment that are documentaries about Donald Trump, and they're made by people who I respect, and I think they'll probably be very interesting. But can I bear to spend any more time in that man's company? No, I just can't. I can't do it. I mean, you know that from now until he leaves, which will be probably when he dies, he'll hand the crown down to Lurch, or up, actually. Lurch being 7 foot tall or whatever he is. 7 foot tall of what looks like Damien to me. Anyway, it'll be... I've forgotten what I was talking about. I've completely lost the thread. I'm confusing myself. You believe that? Anyway, I was halfway through this text from Liz. It says, did you see the TV programme Meet the Rees-Moggs? No. I watched it and Jacob never takes his suit off, says Liz. And even when home relaxing, he still wears a suit and tie. Was Jacob born with a suit on? And he has his underpants ironed. He doesn't seem normal, says Liz. Yeah, well, at least we can agree on that. Nothing normal about him, no. He seems to be the antithesis of normal. This says, evening, Nick. The music on Road Dreams is by Leo Kottke, not Ry Cooder. Rock and roll! Correct, Amundo. Ry Cooder has been one of the greatest slide guitarists for decades. Kottke is the greatest 12-string player of all time. He certainly is a talent. There's no doubt that. Leo Kottke
It's on Road Dreams, which I thoroughly recommend that you watch. If you just want to, you know, there's so much negative that's going to be pouring at you. For at least I've just caught up with my thread again. For at least the next 4 years, and way longer than that, the news is going to start with Donald Trump just said or did something stupid. And it's going to be on and on and on. And he's going to top himself perhaps each day, definitely each week. If you were utterly outraged last week, he's going to say or do something even more outrageous next week, just to keep all eyes on him and to keep you distracted. This chaos will not let up. There will be no period of calm from now on. And he will be at the top of the news, and it's pretty much everything that the only thing that people will want to talk about. Because everything else will seem boring and normal. Not like Jacob Rees-Mogg, not normal, but normal, you know, dull by comparison. Ordinary life, you know, potholes and NHS waiting lists and, you know, all that stuff. Nobody's going to be thinking about that now because we're all going to be thinking about the imminent demise of everything that lives on this planet because of that man. There's a very interesting memorandum. Have I mentioned that?
Yes.
Yeah, a very interesting memorandum that is going around, which has been written by anonymous whistleblowers. And they remain anonymous because they fear for their lives with justification. And I think I said that some while ago. And then I said, did you hear about the judges? And then I put a ... after that, promising to tell you about them later. You will remind me about that, won't you? Pretty pleased with sugar on top. Do ensure to remind me. 0345 6060 973. Let's see now. Lester Hemant.
You need practice. You need to do some homework.
Hemant.
Very good, Nick. Very good. Nick, quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
The Nobel Prize. I know he's after that, old Donny.
What, the Nobel Prize for what?
For peace.
Oh, peace. That.
Because I think if we gave him a medal now,
yeah,
he'll be able to. Because that's the thing he's chasing, isn't he?
I don't know. I don't really believe... If you offered him $1 million or the Nobel Peace Prize medal, I pretty much know which he would take. He would snatch that money out of your hand.
Because yesterday, you know, he has his question and answer session. One of the journalists asked him to say... Basically, he said, look, we want to give him a medal... They went back to the committee, and what the committee said, well, if he gives the NATO troops or some help, you know, with the American support, then he'll be in line to receive one of the Nobel Prizes.
Are you sure about that?
Well, I don't know. That's what they said.
Right.
So I'm just... sort of like
and after they've dangled that in front of them, if they don't give it to him and they give it to somebody else, you know, somebody who's then he's going to declare war on Nobel.
Can you just see that? If
he'll be asking his minions to point it out on a map.
Oh yeah, but anyway, that's what I have to say. And your glamorous
sounds like you
wonderful.
Said it. Yeah,
he's been very good.
Is that a fact? In what manner has he been very good?
He was very polite, very caring.
Oh, right.
I mean, last week, I don't know who you had on, but he said it wasn't him.
A big change from yesterday, then? Is that what you mean?
Well, I tried yesterday. There was no hope. I had two hopes, Bob Hope and no hope, but there you go.
All right, okay.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Thanks a lot, Hammond. Sounded like a listener with material to me.
Oh, no.
Just at the end, though. Just couldn't help himself. This text says, could we have a discussion on what Trump should be calling Camp David after the desire to remove Enola Gay? Enola Gay from websites. Yeah, Camp David. That's right out. That's a good point. In case you missed that story, the Enola Gay has been removed from Pentagon websites. Mention of it, pictures of it, anything like that. The Enola Gay being the that totally woke plane that dropped the world's biggest bomb on Hiroshima. I learnt today that it was called Enola Gay by the pilot who named it after his mother, Enola Gay. Do you imagine that? Happy Mother's Day! I mean, I would be mortified, wouldn't you? If your name was permanently associated with the biggest mass killing in one moment in history. And what's gay about that, by the way?
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I just want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again.
It's a radio show, dear. Mark in Air says, my prediction is that Donald Trump will not be president at the end of 2025. No, I can't see that. Can't see that at all. I've added to my list of predictions. He's not going to leave at the end of 4 years. There's going to be live executions on national television. He's going to order his troops or police officers or those lunatics that he let loose from the insurrection on January the 6th to shoot into crowds of protesters. He's going to ban degenerate art. And I betcha he uses that word degenerate. Because, that's from you-know-who. Off the History Channel. He will ban degenerate art in favour of art that celebrates the American ideal. And I bet he says that too. And he will appear in public in paramilitary uniform. And he will probably start a war, if necessary, to avoid having an election at the end of his term. Any additions to that little list? Yvonne in Hastings says, hello, Nick. Reference dictators. A Catalan friend who had lived under Franco told me, at least they get things done. Yeah, things? What do you mean? It's scary, says Yvonne. Yeah, well, it's the same mindset as people who are like Donald Trump saying that they do so because he tells it like it is. Hey, people, wake up. It's later than you think. Luton. Hello, John.
He just stole my words. Yeah, he said it as it is. I tell you what, this disease, I'm careful with my words, but the Trump phenomenon is getting into England a bit.
Yes.
So there are numbers of people who are starting to, they were behaving normally, and you try to talk to them, and suddenly they go on a Trump rant.
Yep.
And you can't get them off it. And you can't, and it's like they've been poisoned by something.
Yes,
so I'm
propaganda.
People,
propaganda is what they've been poisoned by.
Exactly. And I have to say, yeah, I mean, and you're right. By the way, I do believe there's a real danger of pay-per-view executions coming up.
Yeah.
I've just watched the YouTube review of the execution last night.
Did you?
Yeah, it's on live now, YouTube.
What did you do that for? The review?
Well,
what, you mean people are giving it marks out of 10?
Yeah. No, I'm just... No.
You owned that chair. That sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, South Carolina, here we go. Live briefing on South Carolina death row, inmate firing square execution. And it's the actual... Everyone explaining what happened, how the people witnessed it, when the doctor went in for 90 seconds to check he was dead.
Right, so it wasn't actually... You didn't see it happening?
No, you might as well have been, because they described everything through the movement of his eyes towards the jury. I mean, it's everything but it's softening people up.
Yes.
I'm saying it's softening people up. But the other thing I was going to say, I've got some consultant friends who go to the States. Some go to churches, and I had a great chat to him last week. And he said, in his view, they were inches away from civil war in the States, because Texas and California, especially Texas, the way they explain, the way they understand federal government, it is the enemy. That's why they got Second Amendment. So basically, you'll have anyone and everyone who's ready to fight him, and that's why you're going to get bloodbaths, because although Trump will fight, there will be groups fighting back. And so what you're saying is right, but it could be a potential semi-civil war.
Well, the problem with that is that the people with all the guns are the right-wing dinglings, and they are the people that voted for Donald Trump. So the people with all of the... I mean, there's something... I can't remember exactly, but there's as many guns in America as there are people, but only about, and forgive me, I'm going to make this up, but it's more or less, only about 20% of the people in America actually have guns. So not everybody has guns, but the people who have guns have a lot of guns.
Yeah.
And it's the right-wingers who vote for Donald Trump who have got the guns. So if there is a civil war, then I'm afraid that all you liberal lefty Tesla drivers in California, you are going to be first to go.
Yeah. But you think, I couldn't believe, I was talking to a friend, I said, when have you ever seen a president be asked a sensible question like, excuse me, Mr. President, what happens if Putin goes back on one of the peace deal that you've agreed?
Right.
And he said, so what if a bomb drops on your head? that was his educated, technical answer. I showed it. I said, it's hilarious. It's like an episode of... Not Monty Python. It's an episode of some kind of sitcom.
Well, it's an episode of a program that would never get on television. What it's like is the bore in the pub who props up the bar and just keeps going on and on and on about his political opinions has just been given a microphone and they've locked the doors.
Exactly.
That's the situation we're in.
I think we do need to. What can we do? We can actually drop as much business as we're doing with the States as possible, and put it all into Canada.
Right, bingo. That's right.
Yeah,
yes.
Get hold of Canada and say, what can we do for you?
What can we? How can we help you? Precisely.
How can we help you? We want to buy your steel, not American steel. And that's the way you respond. And they're doing the right thing about Tesla. Tesla's dropping to the
huge. Yeah,
it's gone. It's going. There's no way Europeans are going to buy Tesla. So although Donnie thinks he's got his own way, it's going to backfire on him because when the money that when because the NASDAQ collapses and goes, oh dear, what happened? And I mean, you think about how mad he is. 1 minute he puts Trumps on Canada, 24 hours later they're gone. And then today he puts 250% tariff on dairy products, but it'll be gone in another. I mean,
I know. It is like. Well, I'll go back to my previous simile. It is like being strapped to a chair in a room with a baby playing with a gun. You've got absolutely no idea what's going to happen next, but you're fairly sure it's going to be awful. And you can't trust a man who is not trustworthy. But businesses can't plan for the future. They've got absolutely no idea what the hell's going on anymore. So we're looking at a worldwide financial catastrophe because we've got a child who is just acting for applause in his immediate circle. And that is all that interests him, apart from getting more power and money.
He's not far off Kim Jong-un in the different clothes.
Well, the people who are around him treat him exactly like Kim Jong-un's minions do. They keep mentioning his name. If you notice the amount of times that anybody who has been given a job by Trump says President Trump. President Trump did this, and President Trump was very clear that President Trump was very clear that President Trump was very clear. And President Trump, President Trump, President Trump, President Trump. And it's just, I mean, we can't be, I'll add something to my list. Town halls and schools will all have to, by executive order, have a portrait of Donald Trump in their main halls.
Oh, no.
Betcha. Betcha.
Did you see him yesterday introducing the special task force to FIFA? Oh.
No.
That was hilarious. The FIFA guy was basically on his knees saying, President Trump, we thank you so much for hosting the World Cup. And Trump said, hey, and he said, it's going to be like 3 Super Bowls in one day, that sort of revenue. And the guy said, well, we've got the best football players as well.
Yeah, there's a small issue of a game being played at the same time, but don't concern yourself about that, Donald. Just keep thinking about the greenbacks, not the green grass.
Coming in.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, John. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello, boys.
He's a great guy. He's a good guy. He's a good person.
Thanks, Donny. You're the best. So there's this memorandum that I've just lost. Wait a minute. Oh, no, here it is. Phew. Hang on. A document authored by an anonymous group of whistleblowers accuses Elon Musk of attempting to spearhead a private, hostile takeover of the US government on behalf of an extremist anti-democracy philosophy known as the Neoreactionary movement by effectively hijacking the Republican Party. Now, some of this is going to sound crazy until you remember what's actually happening, and then it just fits right in. The group who authored this document are withholding their identity for fears of being targeted, and they include former Silicon Valley and US technology leaders. They describe themselves as former followers of the Neo-Reactionary movement, also known as the Dark Enlightenment, a burgeoning internet philosophy which seeks to abolish the drive for greater equality and the very existence of democracy itself. In a nutshell, I mean, I won't give it all of you, give you all of it, but Donald Trump is not using Elon Musk to take apart the American government. Elon Musk is using Donald Trump to do it. Following President Trump's executive order establishing the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, many have been shocked by the speed and scope of changes led by Elon Musk. While DOGE, in theory, aligns with long-standing conservative ambitions, the reality is that Musk has not limited government or dismantled the deep state. He has replaced it with himself. Under his radical restructuring of federal power, the White House is at risk of becoming captive to Musk's demands. Rather than operating as an ally of the Trump administration, Musk has hijacked its ambitions for his own purposes. His rapid takeover of federal infrastructure mirrors the broader ambitions of the Neo-Reactionary movement, a small group of Silicon Valley elites who reject democracy and seek to install a chief executive officer monarch to rule by technological and financial dominance. Once considered fringe, purveyors of this ideology have now been embedded into the core of government operations. And, by the way, some of them are the very same names that delivered us Brexit. Same people, same plan. How's Brexit going, by the way?
Brexit's going great.
Glad to hear it, Nige. Full details forthcoming, no doubt. Let me know when you find Brexit benefit. It says, Musk's manoeuvring demonstrates a long-standing strategy of this elite class, not dismantling government, but replacing its power structures with ones that they control. The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, has not reduced bureaucracy, it has privatised it. All of this rings bells with me. I mean, all this seems completely correct to me. This is, to my mind, is exactly what's going on. The Treasury has not been made more efficient. It has been placed under a billionaire's influence. TikTok has not been secured from foreign threats. It's been delayed so Musk can position himself as its gatekeeper. President Trump, far from asserting dominance over the administrative state, may now find himself hostage to Elon Musk. And then there's about 86,000 pages of evidence, and the conclusion is as follows. Elon Musk's unchecked consolidation of power over government infrastructure, financial systems, AI governance and digital media does not serve the interests of the Trump administration or the broader conservative movement. It serves Musk himself and a network of ideological allies who seek to dismantle democratic accountability in favour of private rule. It's basically an attempt to take over the planet. And while that seems very James Bond and insane, it does fit with what's happening. While some may view Musk as a useful instrument in dismantling the bureaucratic state, in reality his actions demonstrate that he is not working for Trump or the Republican Party, but rather for his own power and the broader neo-reactionary agenda. The rapid restructuring of government functions under Doge, Treasury infiltration, and efforts to control digital platforms show that Trump and the American public may already now be hostage to Musk's demands. The Founding Fathers fought a revolution to free America from the grip of an unaccountable monarch. Today that struggle is being replayed, not against a king, but against the wealthiest man seeking to centralise power without oversight, backed by radical extremists. Same people pretty much who brought us Brexit. The Constitution was designed to prevent any one individual from seizing control of government institutions for personal gain. Unless Congress acts decisively, Musk's parallel power structure will continue to entrench itself, sidelining the executive branch, eroding institutional checks, and undermining national security. The choice is clear. Rein in Musk's overreach now, or risk allowing a private actor to reshape the United States in his own image, unchecked and unchallenged. So, in this scenario, Trump is just a greedy, grabby, determinedly uninformed moral and intellectual vacuum who's being used as a battering ram to get the billionaire tech bros into the building. Trump's not using Elon Musk to further his interests. Elon Musk is using Donald Trump to further his. Donald Trump's Elon Musk's useful idiot. Of course, Donald Trump is also Vladimir Putin's useful idiot. Which leaves us with a choice that we'll probably not be allowed to make. It will be made for us. Are we going to be led by a determinedly uninformed moral and intellectual vacuum with makeup on, or one with a horse tranquilizer habit and enough children to make a football team? Either way, I'd rather be European. How about you? 0345 6060 973. Wolverhampton. Hello, Gary. Gary? Oh, Gary? Too late. Let's have Manchester. Hello, Raj.
Hi there, Nick. How you doing? You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good. I've got two things for you, basically. One for the list anyway. The Trump list.
What?
Your Trump list.
What?
1 second. Your Trump list.
Oh, Trump list. Hang on a minute. Yes, an ecstasy of fumbling. Go ahead.
Right, for your Trump list, this is what I've got.
Yeah.
He's going to put a comedian in jail who's done the impression of said something bad about him.
I think that is highly likely, yes. At the very least, he and Elon Musk are going to rain down lawsuits on television commentators and comedians. Yeah. And it doesn't matter whether those lawsuits have any merit. It will tie those people up into financial knots, and they won't be able to move forward with their lives, and it will send a chill through the industry, and nobody will say anything about him again.
Absolutely, that's what I was thinking. Maybe it could be Alec Baldwin, because he did a really good impression of him, didn't he?
Alec Baldwin, yeah. Well, yeah, maybe. Why not? Somebody famous for sure. Yeah, I mean, he does keep going on about. He does keep going on about. Rachel Maddow, who's got this sort of commentary show on a news channel in America, who's wildly popular, and she's fantastically well rewarded, earning tens of millions of dollars a year, and very critical of Donald Trump, and he just cannot stop going on about her. First, because she's critical of him, and second, of course, because she's a woman. Hates that. Smart women. Can't stand them.
I've got one more thing as well for you, Nick.
Yeah.
How's your bathroom going on?
I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel
up there for a while.
I don't feel comfortable using it because it's too new.
Oh, so it's finished then? It's done?
Well, no, it actually isn't. No, because I don't know. It's just infuriating. You get work done, and an electrician will come in, and he needs to do a little bit before the plumber needs to come in and do his bit. But after the electrician can't do everything because he needs the plumber to come and do a little bit, and then he comes back and does another little bit after the plumber comes, and then the plumber comes back after him, and it's like, oh my God, when will this ever end? I've got no idea when it will end. Maybe never is the answer to that question. But no, not finished yet, Raj. Thanks for asking. This text says, Trump will suggest moving all the Gazans to Greenland and calling it Trumpland. This was actually predicted on the show The Golden Girls in 1987. The clip is available on YouTube. Is it? It's going to move all the Gazans to Greenland and call it Trumpland. Well, that's just too silly. I'm not writing that down. But the list is getting longer. Yeah, he's going to put a comedian in jail, or he's going to rain down lawsuits on comedians and TV presenters. All those late-night TV hosts who make jokes about him. All of those people are about to get sued. I mean, Donald Trump is the king of suing people. Or being sued. He's spent about 50 lifetimes. If he had actually showed up for court, he would have spent 50 lifetimes in front of a judge. Thousands and thousands and thousands of criminal lawsuits either instigated by him or against him. This text says, I'm reading It Can't Happen Here by Sinclair Lewis, written in 1935. It seems like it actually can happen here, says that person. But to know what they're talking about, we would have to read a book.
Boring.
So that's out. 0345 6060 973. Bath. Laura.
Hello, lovely. How are you doing?
I am great, mate.
You got to stop talking about scary things, my friend. It is Saturday. It's not Sunday.
Yeah.
You haven't... The soundboard is not under lock and key, which I assume it is on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can talk about positive things.
Positive things in the news? Okay, name one.
Well, if I think of one, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
but
okay, sure.
Last night, somebody texted in saying that Emmanuel Macron and Keir Starmer could accompany Zelensky to the next trip to the White House. And I just thought, wouldn't that just be the worst Avengers film ever? You've got Emmanuel Macron, who looks like a Playmobil man, and then you've got Keir Starmer, who looks like he eats Vaseline on toast. It's not exactly...
Oh. I don't understand either of those two references, but then I've never seen a... what did you call it? What kind of film?
What about Lego Man? Lego Man. Oh, the Avengers.
Avengers, yeah, I've got no idea what that is.
Superheroes.
Oh, okay, then it's... you lost me at superheroes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't seen it, but I know enough about it through, references.
Yeah. No, I'm not remotely interested in any of those childish films where robots change shape. I just don't care.
Well, would you rather watch that, or would you rather watch a film with Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron as the stars?
Would I rather watch a film where robots change shape, or anything by Ken Loach? Well, it's the robots changing shape for me.
Affirmative.
I mean, I don't watch films to become miserable, if that's what you mean. No, I like to be entertained.
Koya Shasquatnachi.
Yeah. Koya,
your favourite one.
Koya Shasquat, yeah.
Groovy.
Yeah.
Koya Nisqatsi.
Could I ask your advice on something? Because I know you go to the gym, and I've got back into yoga recently, and I'm in a lot of pain.
Yeah. Well, that's what yoga will do to you, in my experience.
Well,
very, very
when
painful.
I went to the class, they said it wasn't a competitive sport, but when I see the person next to me bending better, I think it's time for me to transcend what I thought my body was capable of, just so I can bend further than them.
Yeah,
and then now I'm suffering the consequences.
Yeah, it was the worst 40 minutes of my life when I did a yoga class. I'm never doing that again. Forget it.
So what would you recommend, like, class-wise?
A nice cup of tea and a biscuit.
Okay, I'll follow that one.
All right, another satisfied customer. Thanks a lot, Laura. Michael, you're never going to get me to do that again. Do the downward dog? Absolutely. Michael in Dorset says, as the USA doesn't have elections during wartime, I wonder what will be happening in November 2028. I'm sure that everything will be going extremely well. Yeah. That is going to happen. There will be some reason why he can't... Either he's just going to... There's going to be no doubt about it, and he's just going to take over, and that will be the end of the democracy experiment with America, or they will manufacture some excuse, and a little light war will be just the very thing. Oh, very, very sorry about this, but we can't have elections while there's a war on. And that war will last for, well, ever, quite possibly. So we've got, he's not leaving after the term is up. There's going to be televised executions, either that or, it'll probably be exclusive to X, won't it? Yeah, no doubt. Only those with an official blue tick and an account will be able to watch it. He will order his troops to shoot into crowds of protesters. He will send troops to support Vladimir Putin. That's a big one. He'll take them out of Germany and he'll probably send them to either Russia or a Russia-aligned country. And he'll show up in a paramilitary uniform. And there will be lawsuits against comedians and television presenters who make fun of his hair. That's where we're going. And the art thing. Degenerate art. That's right out.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Some nobody.
0345 6060 973. David says, Nick, what are the chances of Trump enjoying a state visit to Russia or rootin' tootin' in Washington for a ticker-tape parade? Well, no to the second, because Vlad's not travelling. The person doesn't go to the dog comes to the person. So Donald Trump is quite possibly going to go on a state visit to Russia. I wouldn't be remotely surprised. He'll give Vladimir Putin all of the weaponry and the assistance that he needs in order to do whatever the hell he wants, and he'll wish him all the best. Michael in Dorset says, as the USA doesn't have elections, no, done that one. Arthur in Arkansas. Hey, we got a caller in Arkansas. He says, Nick, I'm not seeing all of the Trump flags that I used to see around here. Either the dinglings are reaching their limit with him, or they all got a coupon code for the KKK laundry at once. all of their flags are in the laundry. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people who are very upset because, they said that they voted for him because eggs were too expensive. We just want President Trump, they said. And then they got him in large amounts, and everything that he promised so far has not come true. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and it's going to be huge and tremendous. And if I wasn't your president, everything would be bad and sad. He does talk like a baby. All of his words are very, very short. He has a very small vocabulary, and it works really well for him because the people who he's trying to appeal to also use words that are very, very short and have a very small vocabulary. Everything is bad or sad or mean, and it's like a child talking. And if it's not bad or sad or mean, it's great and huge and very good. But he doesn't ever give you any details about how he gets from bad and sad and mean to great and huge and tremendous. In fact, the word tremendous is probably the longest word that he uses outside of presidential.
I can be more presidential than anybody.
I mean, just saying that kind of stuff is just infantile as well. Nobody knows more about anything than me. Everybody says so. People, they come to me, they say, sir. Well, he's the most powerful man in the world. I'll say it again. There's a film called Idiocracy. With every passing day, it gets less and less funny because it's not a comedy about a dystopian future. It is a documentary about the present. We're living in it right now. And some of it is so on the nose, it's just ridiculous. I mean, when Hulk Hogan ripped his T-shirt open and when one of Donald Trump's safe space rallies, I mean, come on. They're playing with us now. I mean, they're actually recreating large portions of that film. Idiocracy. If you haven't watched it yet, well, watch it now before it's too late. Do it straight away. Let's have Hampshire. James.
Hello, Nick.
Yes, James.
Three things if you've got time.
Yes.
You said earlier you're now trawling through your 2022 shows for the Best Of podcast.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing some of my own research earlier in the week and re-listened to the show you did on my birthday in July.
Your birthday?
And not only did we make the HOTAIR Hot Air Man, but it was just before Bodger had to go. and you were musing about his successor, and one caller mentioned Liz Truss, and you said something along the lines of, well, it might be quite amusing, but you're a bit concerned about the amount of damage she could do in 2 years.
How wrong I was.
So I had a little chuckle there.
Yeah.
Anyway, totally separately, spring has sprung and the days are longer.
I know. Isn't it great?
And, it's marvellous. And I was in my garden this afternoon.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of splashing and sploshing coming from my little pond. And I thought something might have fallen in, so I went over to have a look. But when I went there to investigate, there were about 20 frogs frolicking and writhing.
Oh,
frolicking? Doing what looked like making new frogs.
Oh, God, really? In your pond?
I know. In my pond. I thought I had to tell Nick about this. And finally...
Yes.
Thinking about your caller who rescues chickens and gets a few eggs from them.
Right.
I was wondering if there are any other farmyard animals that go to rescue homes when they're beyond their economic best. And if I could maybe pick up an old cow. Now, the internet says... The internet says they produce over 20 litres of milk a day in their prime, but a pint or two would do me nicely.
Yeah. And if the cow didn't mind and stood still long enough, you could just carve bits off it every now and again if you fancied a steak.
You could. And, of course, you'd have something to put on your rhubarb. But, of course, I prefer custard.
These are the jokes, folks. I'll only let you get away with that because it used to be your birthday. Thanks a lot, James.
Thank you, Nick.
0345 6060 973. This text says, Nick, my prediction is that Donald Trump will be launching a special operation into Canada at some point soon. From what I've read, it appears that he is following the Russian playbook to a T. I wonder who he's been talking to. It does seem beyond belief. It does seem like a joke that he would actually invade Canada. But it seems less like a joke with everything he says on that subject. Canadians don't think it's a joke. I'll tell you that right now. And somebody was, I was talking to somebody on this super show just moments ago, as a matter of fact, and they were saying about, we have the power. We, the customer, we, the people, the consumer, the little people, not leprechauns. And we think we have no power. Well, what can we do? Let's just give up. Everybody, let's just give up now. No, we have an enormous amount of power. We have all of the power in the world. There's a hell of a lot more of us than there are of them, for sure. And all of those people who sat in front of Donald Trump at his inauguration, all of those tech bros, all of those bazillionaires, how did they get rich? From us. We made them rich. They didn't make themselves rich. We did. We bought their product. I mean, they may have invented something, or they may have bought a company that has invented something. In Elon Musk's case, I don't think he actually invented anything personally. He bought companies that invented things and then went to the US government and they gave him tens of billions of dollars to make that company happen. But nothing would have happened if we had not then subsequently bought that product, or aligned ourselves with that product, or said positive things about it. And now, look at the Tesla sales. They're off a cliff. And, by that... and Donald Trump can keep giving him money and keep giving him money, but, the patience of the American people is going to wane eventually. He can't just keep shoveling money into him for things that the American people don't want. You can't keep making cars if people won't buy them, because pretty soon you're going to run out of places to put them. You're going to have to build new car parks on the end of your factory just to park all the cars that people aren't buying, to give you room to put the cars that you just made that people aren't buying either. So, yeah, we have the power. And I've been saying this on this show for years now, that at some point, some company, I've always said, some company will step out of line and they'll do something that people think, you know what, that's just wrong. I'm not going to use that company anymore. And the power of the internet will make that word go round. And just like a cat riding around on one of those robot vacuum cleaners suddenly has, instead of just the owner of the cat seeing it, there's 100 million people who've seen that video. Something goes viral and you can't predict what will happen or what kind of video or what it is. Or it'd be some child in the backseat of a car. This was a few years ago now, who'd just come back from the dentist, and he said, "Is this real life?" And hundreds of millions of people have seen that video. And you could not have predicted that would take off like that. Neither could you predict that some company will do something and someone will go, "You know what, that's just wrong. I'm not going to buy that product anymore." And they'll just tap it into the internet, and other people will read that and say, "Yeah, that's right. I'm not going to buy their product either." And if all of the consumers in the world just stop buying that product, like say it was an oil company, they ravaged some natural environment and irked people. Well, the option that you would have is not to fill your car up in that oil company's garage, but to just drive a quarter of a mile down the road and fill it up in a competitor's. Now, you won't be saving the planet, but you'll be sending a strong message. And that message will be so strong as to put that company out of business. We could do that with the most powerful and the richest companies in the world. I've been saying that for years, and so far nothing's happened. But it could happen to a country. If we just said, "You know what? No, I'm not going to buy anything American anymore," we could put American companies out of business, and that would send Donald Trump a hell of a strong message. He wouldn't be able to survive it. We have the power.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
You're joking.
Judy in Connecticut says, to add to your predictions, these are predictions about Donald Trump and what is going to happen to America and therefore the rest of the world, which is quite a long list now, but Judy has more. Judy in Connecticut says, to add to your predictions, 1, town hall meetings in constituencies will be banned. Well, I think they've done that already. I mean, there was a story that there's just so many stories that it's hard to read them all, but I saw a headline that said that the Republican Party has banned town hall meetings because they're getting shouted at a lot. As I say, I didn't read the whole story, but that was the headline. So maybe that's happened already, Judy. Events have overtaken you. 2, Musk will either be found after an accidental ketamine overdose or will sadly fall from a high window. Oh, that's the other prediction I have, that Elon Musk will be in jail and Donald Trump will steal all his money. You know, rootin' tootin' shootin' Putin style. Just writing that down. 3, Trump will not leave after 4 years, but he will present as a cryogenically preserved hologram of himself with better hair.
I don't wear a toupee.
Thanks a lot, Judy. Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, how are things, Nick?
Pretty good, thanks, Jeff.
I don't know if you saw Question Time Thursday.
I saw clips.
Well, there was this Putin poodle with, the one with a dolly bird out in Dubai. He wouldn't shut up. He just shouted all the time.
Yeah.
And then this Fiona Bruce woman had to shut him up by threatening to throw him out, He just shouted. Anyway, the one thing he said was... which
I think she said she was going to put a gag on him.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, the entitlement of that man is just extraordinary. He just yells over everybody. It's as though he has no filter. A thought occurs to him, and he just blurts it out at top volume, regardless of who around him is speaking at the time.
And then finally came out with this. Yes, human activity has contributed a tiny little bit to global warming.
Did he? I didn't see that.
Well, he did finally. He was under tremendous pressure from Fiona Bruce to say he didn't agree that global warming was taking place and that human activity. And then he came out with this. It has contributed a little bit.
Right.
Now,
an insignificant amount, no doubt.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, you can't do that. You either contribute to it or you don't.
Or you don't.
I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. The other thing that I was thinking about today, Nick, and I thought, I'll have to tell Nick this. Do you remember during the last 3 years of the conflict in Ukraine that if, shall we say, we're going to give them leopard tanks, Putin would come on to the news in a bunker firing nuclear weapons, testing them. There'd be a newsreel of him sitting in a bunker with binoculars and then pressing a button and a rocket going up. In other words, you use these leopard tanks, I'm going to start using nuclear weapons. That applied to when the F-16s, it was like a whole series of events where they upped it to send in missiles. Then Putin would go into another bunker, and then you'd see him firing off rockets, and we'd say we'd be using nuclear weapons. What's suddenly occurred is that nuclear weapons can't be used.
How do you mean?
It's mutual assured destruction.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, I wouldn't bet the house on that one.
Yeah, but what you're assuming is that we would use all of them at once. We could just use one.
Well, he threatened to use a tactical nuclear weapon, which is a little one. He's actually been firing drones at the nuclear power station.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So he couldn't even use the small tactical one.
Well,
nuclear weapons are a no-go.
Are completely useless. Yeah, that's my take on it. What's the point of having something that you can't ever use because somebody else might use it? For what? How? Why? What are the circumstances in which that might happen? But over and above that, I very much doubt. I mean, nothing in this country works, Jeff. Am I right? Banks. Their apps are constantly falling over. People can't get their money out. Barely a week goes by where some major bank has not suffered some catastrophic failure and people can't get their money out. And they're absolutely beside themselves with fury. Mobile phone systems do not work very well in this country. I can get a call from the other side of the planet and it will come in clearer than a call from just down the road. Nothing works. Trains do not work and they do not run on time. A bus service has replaced your scheduled train for your convenience. Water, there's just a torrent of raw sewage all over us. Nothing works here. Do you really expect, when it came down to it, that if a man in a submarine smashed his hand down on the big green button marked go, that anything would happen?
Well, all I can say to you, Nick, is all the things that you have listed, right, particularly water, is a result of the UK being thoroughly looted by the previous government.
Correct, yes.
And everything has been destroyed.
Yes.
And because they've had, indescribable sums of money being looted and burgled and stolen out of that.
And I don't know about you, Jeff, but I didn't see any of that money. Where'd it go?
I wish I knew.
Yeah. Well,
because a lot of it, the obvious ones was the PPI scandal with Moan and all those people pilfering from the COVID.
Well, there's no evidence that anyone that you just mentioned pilfered anything of the sort.
True. Totally, allegedly.
Right.
All right. Okay, but you know what I'm talking about here.
There's been a massive transfer of wealth from almost everybody to practically no one since the 1970s. And here's the evidence. You used to be able to buy a house with an ordinary job, being the only worker in a family. There'd be 4 people in your family, husband, wife, 2 children. You'd have a car on the drive. You'd have your own house, which you had bought, not rented, and you'd have an ordinary 9 to 5, Monday to Friday job. Now that is completely impossible. Where's the money gone?
Well, all I can say, Nick, is that I can just about afford to get to the Goose and Cuckoo to get some conciliation.
Well, I'll see you at the bar, and if you get there first, then you get him in. All right, Jeff?
Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. This text from Les says, that's not all that Trump said. What's not all? You can't text me in as though we're having a conversation, because I won't read it immediately you send it. Ages will go by and I will have talked about 86,000 different other things in between. Anyway, press on, it might make sense. That's not all that Trump said. He said we weren't being told the whole story by Bush. Oh, okay, this is 9/11. And I said that it's extraordinary, and it's certainly a measure of the man, that his first thought at the moment that the buildings came down on 9/11, his first thought was to call up a TV station and boast that now he had the tallest building in Lower Manhattan. What kind of a man does that? What kind of a ranting baby would do that? Anyway, Les in Eltham leaps to his defence and says that's not all that Trump said. He said we weren't being told the whole story by Bush, and the buildings could never have been brought down that way, and was backed up by thousands of engineers and physics experts. Plenty of documentaries explain in detail why not, says Les. Yes, Les, that's right. And contrails. And the Earth is flat, and man never landed on the moon. In other words...
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What's he got to be depressed about?
Oh, where do I even begin? This text says, can a boy aged 37 wear pink shoes and trainers indoors and outdoors? Can a boy aged 37... OK, first of all, a boy is not aged 37. No, I'm afraid you're going to have to admit to yourself that you're not a boy anymore. But can a boy aged 37 wear pink shoes and trainers indoors and outdoors? Yes, but not at the same time. Virginia, Paul.
Nick, how are you?
Good, thanks.
I've been spoken to you for years.
Now, Virginia is a Trump state, right?
Yes, it is.
Right.
I've been out here about 4 years now. But I wanted to... There was something that I wanted to throw in the air and just give me your take on this. I was thinking that with the way times are now, very uncertain, countries looking at being invaded, would you not think that Britain should bring back a legislation that allows people to be able to bear arms just for self-protection of land, property and themselves, for just in case?
Bear arms, as in own guns?
Legalised firearms, yeah.
Yeah, well, let me think about that for a minute.
No.
Absolutely. Why? Because, okay, it doesn't work like it does in the films. If somebody breaks into your property, you don't leap over the bed into the nightstand and pull out your trusty Colt 45 and you shoot them straight in the eyes. What would be more likely to happen is that you leap over your bed, you don't quite make it, you fall into the gap between the bed and the wall, the table falls onto you, the criminal picks the gun up out of the mess and shoots you. That'd be more likely what's happening.
Here's my question for you, Nick. So this is what I wanted to ask you. So, as you know, we're having issues with military right now.
Are you?
Right. Numbers.
Are you talking about us in this country or you in Virginia?
I'm in Virginia, but I'm talking about the UK.
Okay.
Right. I have been saying this for a while. We are having issues with military right now.
We don't have enough of them. Is that what you mean?
No, we don't.
Right.
So my take is this. The reason why I mention the legislation is because at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, most countries would think twice about an invasion if you know you're pretty heavily armed.
No, they wouldn't.
without. You don't think so?
No, because we would, us doughy Brits would have absolutely no experience of firing guns for a start. Even if the government delivered one to each and every one of us through the post, we wouldn't have any experience of it. We wouldn't know what we were doing, and we'd be petrified in the circumstance in which we might use it, which was not going to improve our aim any. And an invading force would be, by definition, a professional army who are used to shooting and killing people. So no, we wouldn't stand a chance. You might as well give us pea shooters or a spud gun.
So what do you suggest as protection?
Being nice. I mean, no one's going to invade Norway, are they?
Well, that's what they say. Yeah. So, I mean, as you know, there's a lot of surprises at the moment.
That's right. Yeah.
Like I said, I when I had mentioned that the last time I was on LBC and I was in London, I had said to one of your gentlemen before you came on that there was likely to be an invasion, and he totally said it's not going to happen. And it happened. So I always think, I'm always sort of believing that sometimes I think people should have a right to be able to have some because you can't rely on people coming to save you, just like what's happening in Ukraine now, where they're under martial law and people are getting bombed, cities are being taken over. The people in the cities do not have any form of defence because they wasn't issued any firearms. So naturally, they just become a victim without no form of self-protection. So that's why I thought I'd throw that in the air, because me being ex-military, that's the way I would think. I would want to be able to make sure that if all hits the fan and there's no one coming to look after me, I can look after myself.
Right. That you wouldn't reach for your holster and find it empty. No, right.
And that is one of the reasons why America actually had their Second Amendment anyway, because when the UK originally tried to take it, that was the reason why the Second Amendment came about, so strong.
But the Second Amendment has absolutely no relation to where we are today, because the weaponry is completely different, as is the the circumstance. But I understand what you're saying, and get out of Virginia maybe would be a good idea. It is beginning to infiltrate your mind, Paul. But I wish you all the best. Shoot straight. Try not to blow your own foot off. 0345 6060 973. Phil in Devon says, everyone has been criticising the new Meghan Markle series on Netflix, With Love. Is that what it's called? But, and with an open mind, I watched it and I loved it, says Phil. Why do people dislike her so much? Anyway, love the show as usual. Why do people dislike her so much? I think that people have been dragooned into disliking Meghan Markle. I don't think that people actually dislike her at all. I think they have been persuaded to dislike her because on a daily, literally a daily basis, the right-wing press in this country fill the acres of empty space in their papers by slagging off Meghan Markle. And it doesn't really matter what the story is. It's completely irrelevant what the story is. She smiled while there's misery in the world. It would be something like that. You know, oh my God, she's wearing green on a Friday. That witch. You know, that kind of thing. It's just so... It's bizarre, their obsession with Meghan Markle. It really is. It's just utterly, utterly weird and creepy is what it is. It's stalkerish is what it is. For crying out loud, she's just a woman. She's not like a goddess that has been sent to torment us. Just leave her alone, for crying out loud. 03, but, you know, what's the point? Because they won't, will they? Because it's money is what it is. They know what stories you look at. I was talking about this yesterday. It used to be the case that they would have to guess. I mean, they'd put Princess Di on the front page of a magazine, and it would sell twice as many as the previous month's issue. So they would pretty much know what was going on there, which is why Princess Di was on the front cover of pretty much every publication on Earth for about 4 years straight. But they didn't really know about anything that was on the inside, whether a story was going to get picked up or not. I mean, people would write in and complain about columnists, and they like that because that means the columnist was getting attention. They like it up to a certain point, and then beyond which they get fired. But, if you can just keep the dial ticking at the top, a couple of hundred complaints per column, that's just about right. But now, of course, online, they know precisely what you're looking at. They probably have detailed files about how long you're looking at stories and whether you read them right to the end and whether you blow up the picture or not and all of that stuff. And so that's the reason that the same stories keep coming up again and again and again, is because they know that people are clicking on them. And that's why the Meghan stories keep coming up, because people are, that witch, what's she done now? They can't help themselves. They love to hate her. And that's why the Beckham family is always in the Mail online, because it's absolutely impossible to ignore. I mean, I try not to look at the sidebar of shame, where most of that stuff ends up, but they scatter it in the main body of the website as well. You just can't avoid it. And that's the reason that the Beckhams keep coming up over and over and over again, is because people keep clicking on it. If you have the power. If you stop clicking on that stuff, they'll stop writing it. I guarantee that's true. Let's see now. Who's been waiting the longest? It looks like Ringmer. Louisa.
Oh, hello.
Louisa.
Hi, Nick.
Yes, Louisa.
You okay? Yep.
But do I not sound okay?
No, you sound great. You've been so lively and great. Listen, Idiocracy?
Yes.
Who wrote it? Do you know?
Yes, it was the guy that did Beavis and Butthead. It's called, Mike Judge.
Okay. It's just that... Is there anything to do with space travel in it?
Kind of. Well, yeah.
Kind of.
A bit. Not really, but yeah. Time travel.
Okay.
It's actually time travel.
Time travel. Okay. Time travel.
Yes.
Okay. It's just that it always sounds quite similar to a book that I read in the 80s. And I've read loads and loads of books, and I don't know why this one always stuck in my mind. Maybe it's because I was a member of the Green Party, and,
the groovy Greenies.
Yowza.
Now, what do you mean you used to be?
In the 80s, it was... No, I am a member of the Green Party, but, in the 80s, I was a member of Friends of the Earth and Greenpeace. That's what I meant.
Right.
Okay. So this book, it was written by Ben Elton. Do you remember him, the comedian?
Oh, bit of politics? Yes.
Yep. Well, it's a comedy book, really. It's a spoof.
Yeah.
And it's called Stark. And I know you don't read books, so I'll just tell you that it represents exactly what's going on in the world now.
Huh.
As in all the millionaires are trying to take all the powers, so they are pilfering, that's a good word, I think, pilfering as much money as they can from everyday people.
Yes.
And the reason they're doing it, and they're poisoning the planet, they're doing what Donald Trump hopes to be doing, which is...
drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill, and opening up all the coal mines, and probably chopping down every single forest that is in America.
Because forests are woke, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're really woke, and killing all the species that he can while he's in power. Anyway, basically, that's what this book is about in a spoof way. And basically, the millionaires have got this huge plan. They are using all the money to build space rockets because they have found a planet where they are going to disappear to when this planet becomes completely poisonous and they can't live on it anymore.
Nirvana sounds super.
Yeah.
Yeah, shame that it probably exists, but nowhere near where we live.
No. So it's obviously Mars is never going to be somewhere that these millionaires or billionaires, I should say.
We should definitely have a whip round and send Elon Musk to Mars. He wants to go so much.
I would love it if he just got in a spacecraft.
Yeah, in one of his own spacecrafts. In one of his own.
Absolutely. The other one, he sent one up the other day and
I
it
know.
exploded,
Yeah,
didn't
that's
it?
right. Big firework.
But if he takes Donald Trump with him,
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, and then they could make a new species together.
Absolutely.
Love, sweet love. Yeah, it's the only
Well, that's
thing.
what this book. This book was literally all about millionaires.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll put it on my list of books to read, Louisa. You know how many books are on it?
Yeah, but you don't read
I don't
books.
read books. Yeah, that's right. Good point, yeah. Thanks a lot, Louisa. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Oh, hello.
Right, so what we doing?
Given we're doing a radio show, but it reminds me that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin. Now, it is a problem-solving podcast in which we bend our brains to solve problems for you. It is our gift to the world. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Now, if you have a problem or an issue or a conundrum or just something you'd always wondered about, why is that? Then send it on an email to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com, NICKANDCAROL @global.com, and prepare to be totally satisfied.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? And the Carol is Carol McGiffin. We get on like a house on fire, and I do believe that you will find it amusing. There's over 300 episodes available online.
What?
300 or more. And it is on Global Player and where you get your podcasts. What's your problem with Nick and Carol?
Yeah.
Let's see. Who's been waiting the longest? Oldbury, Ranges.
Hi, you right?
Yes, good, thanks.
Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of predictions and then I'll start talking about other stuff, yeah? I think Donald Trump's going to pardon, the Maxwell daughter.
Right.
Maxwell.
Yes.
I think he will, yes. Okay. That's one. And the other one, I think he's already probably done something similar, like a commemorative coin. He might have a US dollar bill, like a $50 bill with his photo on there.
Yeah, or get his face chiseled into Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. And when you say that if we abandon a certain company or a country, yeah? Okay, that happened before. Remember that company, the Jewelers, Ratners, when he said, if you want to buy rubbish, I'll sell you rubbish, and then everybody banned it. Okay?
Yeah, I don't think he said that. It was something
I know
like...
what he said, but I can't use that word, can I?
All right, go on.
Beginning with this.
No, I didn't mean that. I think he referred to the jewellery. If you pay the price of a Marks and Spencer's sandwich for your jewellery, then what do you expect? I think words to that effect.
Yeah. And then the thing at the moment now, right, where you've got the biggest problem, you've got too many dinglings because all these, I can never hear them algorithms, yeah? We've been programmed. We've got to go on Twitter. We've got to go on this. We've got to go on that. And these people, no matter how much you tell them, don't buy anything from America. There's too many dinglings. There's more dinglings now, right, than there are sensible people. I'm sorry to say that. So that's not going to happen.
Well, it may just do. I mean, wouldn't take an enormous number of us to decide not to buy products from a certain American company that have allied themselves to the Trump administration for that company to feel the pain.
I know, but the thing is, you try to get through to a typical dingling.
All right, well,
like
forget them. Let's just do it ourselves.
Well, we should do it, but unfortunately, there's probably the dinglings are on the increase, right? And then, you know, when you mention Elon Musk,
just don't say dingling again.
Okay. You know, when, you know, Elon and Musk, right, yes. and his surplus to requirements.
Yeah, that dingling. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, to Donny, yeah. If you look back in history, yeah, okay, Putin, you know, was it Wagner guy?
Yes.
He was surplus to requirement. For America, there's been loads. Saddam Hussein was surplus to requirements, right? Gaddafi was surplus to requirements. And so was Osama bin Laden.
I bet that both of them are planning the demise of the other. I bet Elon Musk is just waiting to step in and take over from the person who he must regard as a total chump, Donald Trump. And I bet Donald Trump is eyeing Elon Musk and thinking, how can I get that money?
It's so funny, you know what? I think it's actually amazing, you know, and I'm glad the age I am because, you know, we ain't going to put. It's just amazing of what's going on.
Yeah,
you know, people don't learn from history of what's happened. You know, Julius Caesar and all that.
I'll say it again for maybe the 1,000th time. The only thing that anybody ever learns from history is that nobody ever learns anything from history.
No. So at the end of the day, right, it's when it's going to happen. And, you know, we predicted that the divorce between Elon Musk and Donald Trump would have happened by now, or maybe by Easter, maybe by the summer. I think that's got a bit more legs in it at the moment for some reason.
Well, the reason is money. Donald Trump will put up with almost anything at all for that amount of money.
And then, you know, when he wants to leave his dynasty behind, he can have that done. And, you know, you mentioned that Putin can never go to America. Well, I'm going to dispute you on that one, to be honest with you, because Donald Trump's got the ultimate power at the moment.
Yeah, no, what I said was that he couldn't... I didn't say that he couldn't go to America.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the dog comes to the owner. The owner doesn't go to the dog.
Oh, that's true. I agree with that. No, I'll take that back. you know, okay, then, all right. I take that back, you know, wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when he handed the letter, Keir Starmer, to Donald Trump, wasn't that the dog coming to the owner?
That was embarrassing. I mean, and Trump sort of looked at it, and now whether he can... Donald Trump must be able to read. I mean, I know there's a lot of people on the internet saying that the reason that he didn't react or anything is because he can't read. He must be able to read because his script is... I know he goes off script all the time, but when he's doing a speech, he is actually reading off the auto cue for at least some of the time. So he can read, there's no doubt about it. It's just that...
Did you see?
It's just that he was... Like Starmer pulled it out of his pocket, like he was delivering him like a lotto win, or you've won a prize on a major television program. You've won a boat, you know, that kind of thing. And Trump was just so underwhelmed, as anybody would be, really, because I mean, is there magic to the prospect of meeting King Charles?
Did you?
No, there is not.
Did you see the spoof video of when they actually show what was written on the letter?
No.
And he was signed Butterfingers. Yeah. You need to look it up on the internet.
I certainly will do. Nothing of the sort, Ranger, but thanks for the advice.
Okay,
All right, gotta go. Thanks a lot, mate. Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. This text says, how useless is Agent Orange? The house edge on American roulette is 5.26%. It is impossible for a casino to go bankrupt unless the owner is brain dead. 5.26%. I thought it was way more than that. The house edge on American roulette. I think the house edge on American roulette is actually 100%. Because once you started playing, you will continue to play until you've lost all your money. It's getting 100% of that money. I mean, who's ever won a little bit on roulette and then just walked away? No one. You stay there and you keep betting until you lost it all. It's 100%. And he still managed to drive a casino into bankruptcy. How on earth did he manage to do that? He has to be one of the worst business persons in the history of business. Name me a worse one. I double dare you. Simon and Nikki in Ashby Canal texts. What, 2 people in one text? Says, I don't reckon Trump will appear in public in paramilitary fatigues. He's the wrong shape for that. He'd look like a camouflaged space... He'd look like a camouflaged space hopper.
Don't be rude.
Yeah, well, that is a good point. And this says, if Trump does the live executions, then I hope it not a mess like the football and need subscriptions to multiple networks. You mean if you've got a subscription to Netflix and they show it on Sky, you'll be really upset? Is that what you're saying? 0345 6060 973. Cornwall. Hello, Malcolm.
Good evening, Nick.
Yes, Malcolm.
A couple of 3 things. Just remind me if I don't go through all of them. A couple of things about you spoke to a little caller who mentioned from Virginia, was it, that we should all own a gun here in Britain.
Yes.
Well, the actual best way to defend the nation and its people is to do what Latvia and I think it's Estonia and maybe Poland are about to do, and that is to drop out of the Ottawa Convention and the CCN Convention, right? Now, this is cluster munitions and landmines. And what those nations are going to do is, they're not going to build a wall like Trump wants. They're just going to lay about a 100-metre strip of landmines all along their border.
Right.
And any Russian that dares to step into any of those countries is not going to get very far.
Or the Russia could just lob rockets over it.
Yeah, but the point is, in the Ukraine, it's clearly being shown that there's a lack of progress being made. I believe there's a lack of progress being made because the Ukrainians have realised that they're heading one way, and that's quite likely backwards. So they put landmines in front of them. And Russia is desperately fearful of losing ground, so they're putting landmines in front of them. So this is why not much land is being gained. Because, and they reckon that this is what happened to the North Korean soldiers, that they went there and nobody told them that there were landmine fields there.
Well, nobody told them that you could get porn on phones. I think they're still staring at them now. Can't believe it.
Yeah, but look, I'm doing my best to sort of bring things on a happy note tonight after your stinging criticism last night and Laura from Bath, right?
Yeah, you suffered a savage swipe.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not material, right? But what's the difference between a veterinary and a doctor?
I know the answer.
No, you don't.
You can't wash your hands in a bison.
No. A doctor has to swear an oath to do no harm. Whereas a veterinary can buy chickens, a glockenspiel, and train them to smash their heads with it.
Yeah. Poor little chooks. What a musical way to go, though, eh?
But look, on Trump, you've heard the expression, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you.
Yeah.
Fool me 3 times, shame on the both of us. Now, Trump has just gone through 2 fool me's because he threatened he gave Putin everything he wanted.
Yes, as an initial offer. Yeah, great businessman.
Yeah.
Good deal maker.
When Trump said Putin is really on side, he's up for this ceasefire stuff, then all of a sudden Putin insanely opened fire on civilians in Ukraine overnight. The day after Trump said Putin was doing brilliant. But then the stupid thing was, Trump then threatened him in a letter with sanctions and worse still.
Yeah,
and then that night,
I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second.
then that night Putin did exactly the same thing again.
Yes.
So Trump has literally been fooled twice. Now, on the third time, what's going to happen, Nick?
Well, it's interesting because Russia, they met at a thing called the Defenders of the Fatherland Foundation, and Vlad the Insaner was there. And he has rejected the possibility of any concessions in future peace talks regarding the war in Ukraine. The Kremlin stated that it will not make compromises, denied the possibility of deploying peacekeepers in Ukraine, and dismissed the prospect of ceasefire through talks.
But this was my theme last night to you, that you and Laura found so bloody depressing. It is that it's all of this talk, and Starmer knows it, Macron knows it. There's not going to be a peace deal. I think they're just waiting for Trump to become bored with talking nicely about President Putin, and he becomes really sort of down and despondent that the dictator he wants to emulate isn't really something that he should emulate. I think that's what they're trying to do. They're buying time, and so Trump says, "Okay, go on, and you can have my planes and my missiles."
Yeah, well, I think what's more likely is that Donald Trump will put all of his eggs in Vladimir Putin's basket, and he will transfer the military American troops from Germany to Russia.
No, I don't think he will. I mean, there's a school of thought that says he fears China more, and they all do in America, and therefore they're starting to turn eastwards rather than westwards.
Yeah, they don't fear China from a military perspective. They fear that China's going to get richer than they are.
But then the thing is, look, like moving out of Europe and allowing Russia more freedom is just going to encourage Russia's economy to grow and grow and grow, and they're going to be taking economic growth from America. Trump has got things all. Well, I've got an expression, but I can't use it on the radio. Breakfast is the second part of it, and it's I don't know, Nick. I think it's a matter of time before this regime in America literally falls apart or implodes. I think maybe. Would be a better expression.
All right. Look, and this is you being happy now, is it? This is you cheering us up?
Nick, here's a happy one for you. Final word on Musk. His European sales have fallen by 45%.
Yeah.
The value of Tesla has dropped from something like about 340 or 360 billion to about 180 billion. And SpaceX is meant to be sending men to the moon in 2 years' time, but the last two rockets have exploded now.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, well, Elon can go first. Yeah, if he's confident enough, to put people on the rocket, then he should put himself on that rocket, and I'd pay a small amount of money to watch that on pay-per-view.
And there, Nick, is your happy note, right?
Right. Well, I didn't really hear much of what you said. I was still trying to figure out what a rude phrase is that ends in breakfast. But thanks a lot, Malcolm.
Leading Britain's conversation, Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
I really like you. Do you like me?
Yeah, sure. Why not? This text says, if Trump does the live execution... no, multiple networks. Got it. It has to be simulcast on all networks. Otherwise, that messenger will be very upset. Let's have Lithgow. David.
Hi.
Yes, Dave.
Hi, Nick. Great programme. Just wanted to say, I just think since Trump has become president, it's shaken up the world order, and it's shown Europe pretty much fallible in terms of a foreign policy, because Europe does not have a foreign policy.
What do you mean? Europe doesn't have a foreign policy?
No, it doesn't. No, because we've relied on NATO and under the umbrella of
a defence policy, you mean?
Yeah. And so, with Trump becoming president, now that NATO is a bit shaky in terms of will America support NATO or not, it's shown how fallible Europe has become in terms of a foreign policy, a defence policy.
Defence policy, yeah.
Yeah, certainly. And I just think that, now that leaders are scrambling around, Italy have decided we're not supporting boots on the ground. Other European countries are not supporting boots on the ground, and it's really it's really worrying that all of a sudden. I mean, it's it should be like, we knew probably Trump was going to come in months ago, since last year.
Yeah, but we didn't know it was going to be like this. We didn't know that he was going to change sides. We didn't know that a country that had been a reliable partner for decades was suddenly going to switch. Nobody could have predicted that level of traitorous behaviour. So it's a hell of a shock, and we are ruining our decision to trust Americans, essentially. And now we've got to look after ourselves. Yeah,
and I think Europe is 400 million souls. We're well capable of. If we sort of came together,
we got the people, we got the money, we got the know-how, we got the industrial might, and we can do it. Sure.
Yeah, and I just think that the negativity about sort of Trump and this, that, the next. I think Europe. This is a seminal moment in a generation that Europe needs to sort of come together and stand up and be counted, because. This ain't going to come along again, and I just think that this is such a seminal moment. So
we have to get to a point where we don't rely on America for anything. I mean, that has been shown to be absolutely true, and it is a bit of a shame because the human race would be best served by being able to trade freely and to trust that the rules that we agreed on last year are going to apply next year. Otherwise, businesses won't be able to plan for the future. Different countries won't be able to collaborate to make a car, for instance, the one country doing what it does best, allied with another country. Like one country might do lights or the electrics of a car really well, and that might be Japan, for instance, and Germany might do engines really well, and the combination of the two would make a terrific product, and it would be brought to the public at a great price. But if you have to make everything within the bounds of any country, then it's going to be much slower to be made. It will be less affordable. There'll be fewer of them, and so on and so on. So. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame for the human race because, it's like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I just think that, just want to finish on this, that China isn't the enemy. How many wars did China start? None.
Well, what has happened in the past is not necessarily an indication of what might happen in the future.
No, but I mean, how many, do you know what I mean? I mean, like America has had their hand in so many wars over the, past, few years.
As have we, yeah.
Yeah, and China hasn't. Zero. Not been involved in any wars. And, the mainstream media, portrays China as the enemy. So does Russia. I mean, you look at Russia. I mean, I'm not going to dig up all the history, but, NATO has expanded its borders to its front door.
Yeah, but NATO is not an aggressive force, and Russia is.
Well, yeah, I mean, if Russia put a military base in Cuba, America...
Well, that's ancient history, though. I mean, now missiles can go from anywhere to anywhere. It doesn't really matter where they are.
Yeah, but I just think that, NATO has been, expanding its borders to the point where Russia cannot take it anymore.
Well, Dave, I can't actually. Should a country have the ability to decide which international organisations it is a part of, or should it take orders on that regard from its neighbour?
Well, it's...
Yes or no?
I see your point, but I just think that, we've got to be holistic about this. And the way Russia views the world is that, NATO has been expanding their territories to the front door of Russia.
Yeah, and I think that's an excuse that Vladimir Putin is using in order to try to take over a country that he thinks would bolster his credentials as the new Tsar.
But if you look at what Ukraine did to the people, the Russian-speaking people of Ukraine, and
again,
years ago,
history.
It was nothing short of a genocide.
Yes. Let's talk about now. And I refer you to the question that I asked some moments ago, where you knew what the answer was, but you didn't want to say it. And the answer is yes, a country should be able to decide which international organisations it is a part of, regardless of what its neighbour country thinks. I mean, we, by some bizarre method, voted to leave the European Union. Would you be okay if France had said, no, we're not going to let you do that?
Well, no, obviously not, because we're a sovereign country. But I know.
Sovereign.
No, I see
There's that word again.
I see your point.
Sovereign. All right, good talking to you. Thanks a lot, Dave. 0345 6060 973. Matty in Newmarket says, here's another one to add to your Trump list. He'll open a burger bar in Pyongyang, or at least go for another burger with Kim Jong hairdo. Or at the very least, go for another burger with Kim Jong hairdo. Okay. Tom in Sevenoaks says, you should actually watch Rees-Mogg's show. It's a masterclass showcasing everything that's wrong in politics. Now, I'm not going to spend any time in that man's company. I just won't do it. My skin is crawling just at the very idea. That. For an hour or however long it lasts. I couldn't stand it. Like that. One long grey sigh. No thanks. John in Bath says, question. As the numbers... Oh, God. I'm reading ahead. No. This says, if Mr. Orange was to pick a war for so-called American interest with Iran or China, would the Europeans join in with the Americans to fight as usual? I know the UK will probably will, as America owns us, but I'm not sure for the rest. No, I mean, we should have learned our lesson already. We jump when America tells us to, but they don't refund the favour. Refund. Well, you know, if only we had bought America, or our relationship with America at M&S, we could return it for a cardie. You know, something that suits us.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
What number are you calling from?
Thanks for asking. Very polite of you. 0345 6060 973. Sandbach. Hello, John.
Hi, Aces.
Pardon?
Aces. The Acer trees.
Oh, Acer trees.
Yeah, I think they thrive in
Japan.
They thrive in ericaceous soil.
Ericaceous. It's ericaceous in every way, like Lily the Pink.
Yeah. Ericaceous. But they do. Yeah, they do.
The human race sing.
If your ericaceous trees, if your trees, the Acer trees aren't thriving, you might not be having them in the right soil.
What's ericaceous soil when it's at home?
I know you till I met my wife. She was the gardener, and I just...
Oh, right. You dig where she points.
Yeah,
and that's it. Right, I got it.
Then I read about it and thought, oh, better do this then.
Yeah, I would like an Acer tree to, grow as you see it in places like Kew Gardens and Wisley and that, but it just seems so very picky. You put it in dappled light and it doesn't like that, and you put it in full sunshine, it doesn't like that, and you put it in shade and it doesn't like that, and it's like it throws a fit. It says, oh, can't you get anything right? And it just drops all its leaves right where you're standing.
Yeah, get it in the right soil and get it in a position out of the wind.
Oh, wind is...
Yeah.
Wind. Are you kidding me? It doesn't like wind. It's a tree.
I'm not kidding. I've got one on the side here now that thrives.
Wind.
Yeah, it thrives in its protected position, and it thrives in the soil, and it thrives from protection from the wind, the sun, and all that kind of stuff.
Right. So basically, it doesn't like to be outside.
No, they're great when you change colour and everything.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, I mean,
they're beautiful.
Some of my favourite trees in the world are acers in either Kew or in Wisley, because they're just a stunning display in the autumn. But if it can hang on to its leaves until then, I'll be amazed.
The other thing is that I've got a vision of Donald Trump going up the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and turning around and say, "Et tu, Leon."
Et tu, Leo.
Leon. Musk.
Elon.
Elon Musk. Et tu, Elon.
Didn't you say Leo?
I said Leo, but...
You screwed it up there, John.
Yeah.
Oh, well, better luck next time. All right. Okay, thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. I can't believe it. Acer trees don't like the wind. They don't like the wind. They don't like the sun. They don't like the shade. What do they like? Razza says, Elon Musk took Trump under his wing after a call with Putin. Is Musk Trump's handler? That would explain Trump's timidity in Musk's presence. No, I think that that explains Trump's timidity in Musk's presence. Lisa in the Wirral says, Nick, have you seen Trump's list of banned words? Female, LGBT, woman among the banned words on the list.
What?
Woman. It's utterly mad, says Lisa, but it's us that don't have freedom of speech, according to J.D. Vance. Yeah, well, maybe J.D. Vance wasn't referring to us, but he couldn't see his script properly because of his eyeliner was running. I think he protests too much. Steve says, I'm waiting with dread to see what Trump has planned for July the 4th, 2026, the 250th independence anniversary, maybe his coronation. Crowned with a crown made from some of the gold he plans to steal from Fort Knox. Yeah, whoever's in charge of Fort Knox need to check his pockets going in and then check them going out. Very important. Holloway. Hello, Stephen.
Oh, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Well, to add to your list, well, considering you just spoke about gold disappearing, I wondered what anybody thought about the amount of gold that was underneath the Twin Towers after it came down. But that's by the by.
There was gold. There was gold under them thar towers.
Unfortunately, there was the biggest repository outside of Fort Knox in the U.S.
Why did they keep it there?
Who knows? But unfortunately, that's where it was stored, and nobody seemed to bother about whether that would have any international ramifications on...
That would seem unlikely, though, wouldn't it, Stephen? Because they did clear that mess from that area, so you think...
Yes, they did, and they sent it all to China, instead of being forensically examined within the country that a terrorist attack had occurred.
Don't you think that if they had the second largest depository of gold in America, that they would have bust a gut to get at least some of it back? They just put it on a ship.
You and I could pontificate in eternity on that one.
Well, not really. It just doesn't make any sense what you just said. They just gave up all that gold. That they put it on ships with assorted detritus and sent it away. No.
Well, there is a saying that the difference between fact and fiction is that fact has to make sense.
Right.
So that's by the by. So before you got Trump actually sitting there and ordering public executions, he might actually use the opportunity to fan his own flames by actually having a show trial for said people prior to their execution.
Good idea, yes.
Exactly, because then obviously he could denounce and demonstrate in front of the American public as well as the nation as to why these people could be sent up in such a manner.
Well, he would be able to act the tough guy, and it would introduce an element of torture into the proceedings, which I'm sure he would find delicious.
Of course he would, because of just like the program Judge Judy, it could be it could be Judge Trudy, between Don Elon and, so he could play the judge, and Elon could be the jury.
Right.
And depending on your viewpoint, whoever could have the most sway in the matter.
Well, I'm seeing it more as a scene in an episode of Star Wars where Jaffa the Gut and his that little rat-like creature, which I'm imagining is Elon Musk, they would then try to throw Han Solo into the mouth of the big sand monster, whatever the hell that thing was. That's the way I see it going.
Well, of course, because then it would satisfy all the slavering mouths that could potentially be waiting for something to enter into it.
Yes.
But have you, seeing as we point Elon Musk as being, the new Bond villain, I can imagine Donald Trump actually watching a film called, if you might remember, called Zardos.
No.
Okay, it's with Sean Connery, Mr. Bond, post-Bond, playing a outback villain in a society that had completely regressed, and then waited for a giant head to come and speak its will.
Sean Connery was in this.
Yes, indeed.
And what's it called?
It's called Zardos, as in a abbreviation for the Wizard of Oz.
Ah.
Hint, hint.
Right.
So, if you've not seen it, it's from 1974, 5.
Yeah.
And yes, I can imagine old Musk and Don sitting there going, you know what?
That's a plan.
We're going to stick it to him because he's the kind of guy that could have told us before, but now I see him in a former light, so now maybe he can represent everybody that I'm trying to speak to. Can you imagine the show trial now? It's done in public like how people were hung in the past with a giant inflatable balloon in the shape of Donald Trump's head, now having a speaker to make sure that everybody heard post-forth that everybody could be heard.
Right,
rather
okay.
Than a giant head.
I got it. He would be the big giant head. Yeah, I completely understand. But I'm still picturing him more as Jabba the Hutt.
Very much so.
Yeah,
Jabba the Glut.
Yeah, Jaffa the Gut. Yeah, now I've got that image in my mind. I can't get it out.
Don't talk to me that way. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
Don't ever talk to the president that way, Stephen. Make sure that you don't do it ever again. Otherwise, you're on a list. A list. All right, thanks a lot, mate. Zardos. That does seem like a bizarre choice for Sean Connery to make as the film that he would make up immediately after appearing in James Bond. Bizarre. But, we'll just add it to the other bizarre things that are happening at the moment. Maria says, "Hi, Nick, we're in Tavira in Portugal, where the American tourists are creeping about pretending they're Canadians." Yeah, I would imagine that there's a lot of that going on, yeah. This text says, more predictions for Trump. Declares himself immortal by executive order, replaces the Supreme Court with a reality show like America's Got Justice, and declares he has bought the moon and is emperor of space. I am the biggest thing in space. Everybody says so. And Brian in Crewe says, for the Trump list, you forgot he will be growing a 1-inch long tash on his top lip. 0345 6060 973. Derby. Hello, Simon.
Evening, Nick.
Simon.
I'm sorry I didn't phone you last week. I was in a state of shock, I'm afraid.
Oh, yes.
I caught the Trump-Zelensky-Vance interview, but I just turned it on at the bit where they were having a go at him.
Yeah.
And I must admit I was discombobulated.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I thought, has there been a glitch in the Matrix? Have I took the wrong colour pill or something? Are all these conspiracy theorists right? It was like, what the hell was going on? I couldn't believe it. For about a day, I suffered with a sort of a medical condition as well. It caused me quite a problem. I had Trump's Tourette's. Every time I saw him on the television, I just started swearing at him. I just couldn't help myself.
My plan is to not watch programmes that contain images of Donald Trump. I think you should maybe try to follow my lead.
Oh, it only lasted for a couple of days. But when I came round again, I thought next time when Zelensky goes to meet them, he should take somebody with him who can speak English as well, probably a bit better maybe. And I thought perhaps he should take the mayor of Kiev with him. That'd probably do him. He'd probably be better off with him. You remember the ex-world heavyweight boxer?
Klitschko.
Yeah. Let's see if Ants have a go at him for his dress.
Yeah, I would pay at least £15 on pay-per-view to see a match between those two.
Yeah, tag team.
Let's see what happens. Come on, JD, give it a go.
But then the next day, I needed some clarity, so I asked my little smart speaker, the one that begins with A and ends with A, a few questions about Mr. Trump. It's very odd how she seems quite not silent. She answers a lot of questions to not quite sure how to help you with that. Now, one of the questions was...
Sounds suspicious to me.
One of the questions was, I asked her about, is Donald Trump insane?
Yeah.
And that was not what she answered, what I just said.
Right.
So to check it, I asked her, is Volodymyr Zelensky and Keir Starmer insane? And she said, not quite sure how to help you with that. But for Donald Trump, is Donald Trump insane? She answered, I'd rather not answer that.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yes. And I tried it with a lot of people, and none of them came out with that answer.
Through the currents of time we roam, where fate's whispers guide us home. In victories claimed or paths unknown, destiny's threads weave deep and wide. Eternal pathways intertwined, in every twist our destiny defined through the echoes of our mind. From the highs of triumph cheer to the lows where shadows steer, in fate's embrace we persevere, both gaze and near. In the silence where destinies align.
Now, that's very suspicious. Then I thought, right, I'm going to have another go at a lot of other things about Donald Trump. So I asked her about his various convictions. Couldn't find anything on him. you had to be very specific about what you were asking before it linked to Wiki. What is it? You know, the one.
Yeah, the Wiki what's it? Mm-hmm.
Wiki thing, and then it did come up with the list of his 32 felonies.
Yeah.
But you had to be very specific about the question.
Highly
On most
suspicious.
Things, she would not answer. Yeah,
Right.
and wasn't it Jeff Bezos who owns Amazon? Wasn't he?
Yeah. He's one of those
Bending
ones
the
that
knee to Trump?
he's one of those ones that crawled across the carpet and kissed the ring. You believe that?
Then all of a sudden his smart speaker goes dry.
What's the point of having all of that money if you then prostrate yourself in front of some orange blowhard just in order to make more money? I mean, for crying out loud.
It's ridiculous,
It
isn't it?
is ridiculous, yeah. I don't understand people. I just don't. I mean, I've met people. I'm not keen. Thanks a lot, Simon.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
We're running late.
We are running late. There's no time to lose. 0345 6060 973. East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Hi, mate. Yeah. Couple of bits. I've been listening to the show, and there's been a bit of a debate over who's in charge, Trump or Musk.
Yes.
And what struck me is that the one thing that keeps America going, as it's always gone for the last 100 years, is the civil service, basically, the structure, the state.
Yeah,
And
same with
Trump
any
is-
country.
Yeah, and Trump has strangely decided to let someone who's quite dangerous in to destroy the state, which actually supports him. Because ultimately, once Musk has stripped all this lot out, there's nobody left to defend the president. It's self-destructive policy.
Well, that assumes that there is some sort of overarching strategy.
There's no strategy. I have no strategy. There's zero strategy.
There is zero strategy. So, like, planning ahead beyond instant gratification, I think, is a mug's game. I think they're just in for it from what they can get right now, or at least Trump is. I'm pretty sure that Elon Musk is thinking ahead, but it doesn't bear contemplating what he is actually thinking about the future for the rest of us.
Well, no, but Trump is not that intelligent. He's devious and he's cunning, but his critical thinking skills are not great.
Not good,
Musk,
no.
on the other hand, has got the critical thinking skills. And then you think back, who actually appointed J.D. Vance? He was appointed
The tech bros.
Peter Thiel, and Musk put him in. Now, the logical conclusion I can look to this is that they consider Trump an irrelevant at the moment.
No, he's not. He's not an irrelevance. He is the battering ram to get them into the building. None of those people that you've mentioned, all of those weirdo tech bros behind Trump, none of them would be popular with the public because they're all weird. They don't know how weird they are because they're weird. Everybody that they know is weird, so they can't contemplate how weird they must seem to the general public. But J.D. Vance is, I mean, Tim Waltz, who was the running mate for Kamala Harris, he dropped that weird bomb on them, and they really struggled under it. It was like a brick holding them down until, by whatever method, legal or otherwise, they managed to win that last election. But so they could not bring Americans on side because Americans would be repulsed by them because they're just so blooming weird. Trump, on the other hand, he's a showman. He's got charisma. The people either love him or they're fascinated by him. Same as Nigel Farage. So they've that is a huge benefit to somebody who wants access to the institutions of government. Without Trump, they couldn't get there, but they've used him as a battering ram to get in the building.
Yeah, I quite agree. That's the short-term plan. But Trump ultimately, he's not what they want.
No.
He isn't their vision.
No.
So the thing to look at in the long term is where are they going to go with this? Well, they've got Vance either as a puppet or whatever for the future, which is seriously worrying situation.
Oh, yeah,
But
completely. Because those people, it's many of the same names that crop up as far as Brexit is concerned. It's kind of the same plan, really. We're part of this idea that they can sort of privatise and completely take over the planet or the more attractive corners of the planet. And I think that we're in the middle of an attempted coup, a worldwide coup.
Yeah, I quite agree. But what are they going to do post-Trump? Trump isn't going to be there forever. They have to have a plan for what they do when he's gone.
The plan is take control of the military, the police, defund everybody that is going to be critical of the regime, take away any, do the usual dictator stuff, get rid of the professors, close down schools, close down the press, attack the press, defund them, take control of as much press as they possibly can. And, Elon Musk has got X, probably will buy TikTok. And if he's got both of those two things, then he'll have a wide range of ages to pump the propaganda out. That's the plan. It's not to rule in the future in some way that looks like the past. It's a completely new future they got in mind, where billionaires won't have to pay for the upkeep of poor and the old and the sick and all that stuff that's dragging them down. They want rid of all of that. Everybody that is not just like them. They would like the world to be emptied out.
You mean pure Darwinism?
Yeah, or eugenics, more accurately.
Yeah, absolutely. Winner takes all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Darwinism is not too dissimilar in that regard, except that we're talking about people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay.
Any of us left.
And on that happy note, Mike, I've got to go. But thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hi, good evening. Good morning,
Jan.
Nick.
Yes,
Good
Jan.
morning.
Yes, Jan.
Yes. It's nice to hear you sounding so well.
Thanks.
But I have your points about Trump never leaving or won't leave. Despite this nightmarish this nightmare that you just painted for everyone,
yeah.
I've come across these.
Sorry about that.
No, it's so scary. But it's interesting.
Just a theory.
It's interesting because Trump back in 2017, a group of psychiatrists and psychologists said that publicly they felt they had a duty to warn
they said,
the public that he was a dangerous. No, they wrote something about the dangerous case of Donald Trump.
Yes,
and they felt they had a duty.
I remember that. Yeah,
dangerous mental health issues.
Hundreds of psychologists all put their names, and no one has heard of any of those people since. Can you imagine that?
No, they're still there, Nick. they're professionals, but they're held into ethical straitjacket by this Goldwater rule.
Right, yeah.
Which
you
says
can't psychoanalyze somebody without meeting them in person.
Yeah, and also that it's unethical of them to use their profession in a political arena. Yeah. But they then were saying how dangerous he was.
Yeah.
That he had all these things that they
Can you imagine?
Narcissistic paranoia, sociopathy, sadism.
Yeah.
Even a niece of his, Mary Trump, wrote a clinical psychologist, wrote about his disorders. But I was thinking that if he'll be the oldest in 2029. He'll be the oldest person to have held office. But of course, and if he shows visible signs of extreme cognitive decline or even dementia,
If I think that boat's sailed.
I can be more presidential than anybody.
Jan, gotta go. But thanks for that. Thanks for your concern. Appreciate it. And finally, Thomas says, hi, Nick, another prediction. Trump will shoot a hapless waiter in the leg like that gangster in the Mafia film. Like Joe Pesci. I make you laugh. That guy. I'm funny. Like a clown. Yeah, like a clown.
Oh, shut up! 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 Oh, shut up!